Hello there, everybody. James, the Red Engine Fan 1994 here. Um, I decided to, as you can tell by the title of this video, yes, it is going to be a re-review of my favorite character, James. And I also did a review of James back in like 2000, like I think 3 years ago, with Twiggy BNSF. Oh, hi, Alan. How are you? So I decided, I took another look at it, and it did, like back at it like 3 years later, it didn't turn out good. So I decided to re-review it, and also re-review James, and also, hi Showblazers too. How are you? And also, James is one of my very, and also James is my very, not very, James is my favorite character of, like, from the franchise. Um, yeah, he is a good model. I know. Yes, he is a good model. One sec. Okay. So, yeah, I think we all know the bio and history of James. I think we all know the history. Um, when James first arrived on Sodor, he arrived in 1925, I believe. At least that's what Thomas 1, Edward 2, Henry 3 series, at least in his series of NWR Origins. I can't even speak. I'm sorry. Um, It says that in his NWR Origins series, James arrived in 1925. Now, I believe that is accurate. Um, I don't have my laptop with me at the moment, so I can't tell for sure. Um, yeah. So, so in case you guys forgot, yeah. So James obviously appeared in Railway Series book number 2, Thomas the Tank Engine. But he wasn't properly, I think he was introduced, but I don't think he was introduced, like, correctly in that book. As we all know, he was painted black and then crashed into a field. Yeah, he did try his best when he first arrived. And also, James had wooden brake blocks. Now, that's actually very interesting, but at the same time, that's really cool how a steam locomotive would have wooden brake blocks. I'm not sure if American steam trains had that too. I'm not so sure, but if they did, that would be awesome. He couldn't stop. Yes, I know. I already know. I know why he couldn't stop. It's because of his wooden brake blocks. So, anyways, he crashed into a field, and then Thomas rescues him. And then, obviously, James is repainted into his red paint that we know him in today. And then James has had many other adventures, such as double-heading a train with Edward, spraying water on Sir Topham's new top hat. I think we already know that. Getting a bootlace, having to fix his coach's brake pipe with a bootlace, crashing into tar tankers, as well as many other mishaps. Um, so yeah, obviously James appeared in season 1 of Thomas and Friends, but he was never acknowledged. Pulling coaches for the first time. Thanks for pointing that out. Double hitting that train with Edward and pulling branch line coaches was his very first time pulling coaches. Now back to his TV series bio. Now back to his bio. James then appeared in season 1 of Thomas and Friends, which is obvious, but he was never acknowledged in any way. So he wasn't So he was not, named in 5 episodes prior. He was just there, but only as a background character. He was never acknowledged in any way. Now that I find really cool. He is going to be in Big World, Big Adventures. Yeah, I already know about that. James is one of the most popular characters, besides Percy and Thomas. He's one of the. I feel like he's one of the most iconic characters next to Percy and Thomas, as well as Gordon and Emily as well. Um. So yeah, obviously James appeared in every single season of the series. That's obvious. His theme is awesome. Yeah, I can't get over his theme. His theme is just awesome. I feel like James has the jazziest theme out of all of the all out of all the engines. You're like na 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 na. You know. Do, 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 do. So, yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Yeah. So then, James then appeared on the big screen in Thomas's very first movie, Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Now we all know that movie was a fail. We all know that the Magic Railroad movie was a just failed. But I'll get into more of that in a little. But back to that. In the original version of Magic Railroad, James was to be voiced by Michael Angelis, who was the original narrator of the series. Sorry, sorry about that, you guys. I don't know. I got a phone call and stuff like that. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Hold on, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I am so sorry about that. Um, but anyways, yeah, I know James was voiced by a girl in the final cut. But let me go. But before I get into that, let me go more about what James's role would have been in the original script of the movie. So in the original script, James was obviously voiced by Michael Angelis. And he was also going to voice Percy as well. But due to the stupid test audiences for thinking that Angelis made them sound too old, he was cut, not cut. He was dropped and replaced with Susan Roman, who, for those of you that don't know, Susan Roman is also famous on her role of Sailor Moon. But Michael Angelis was going to be great. Yeah, I can see that. But looking at Angelis's narration now, um, he gave James like a Liverpudrian accent, like stuff and nonsense. It's almost like he's shouting all the time. Now that kind of got on my nerves. So, to be honest, I, J, Angeles would have been great for James, but I just wish he didn't give him like that almost shouting voice all the time. I just wish he didn't. And another thing, James was also, you know what? I'll get to that in a little bit. And another thing, I don't think I've done this before. I don't think I've asked this before, but what the hell was James doing in the smelter's yard in Magic Railroad? Like, seriously, when Diesel 10 cornered him, yeah, I guess he made you laugh. And if you do find that funny, yeah, I understand that. It's your opinion. It's your opinion, man. I respect that. But anyways, back to what I was saying. In the smelter's yard scene, what the hell was James doing in there? Seriously, it's never explained why he was there. It's like he was there for an unknown reason. Although on the Thomas Wiki, it says that he was working there. Now, that's possible, but let me ask you this. What if Edward was in that what if Edward was in that movie along with especially in that scene with James? Just think about it. James and Edward in the smelter scene, but only one of them gets cornered by Diesel 10. But then Diesel 10 brought Junior, and he was flung onto James's cab roof. In that particular scene, James almost gets killed in that scene by getting pushed into a melting pit. And I think that's how Diesel 10 planned to get rid of the steam engines. Well, if, if he actually succeeded. But anyways, yeah, but thankfully he was, saved just in time by Junior's last supply. And they teleported to where Mr. Conductor was, where, near the grotto and the magic buffers. But after that, James left after that. But why did he leave? He could have given Mr. Conductor and Junior company. And where was Percy in that scene? I don't mean the original, the final version. Because in the original version, James and Percy, yeah, Diesel 10, that's what I was trying to say. That's what I just said. Diesel 10 was trying to make James fall to his death, or at least kill him. But going back to what I said, in the original version, James and Percy were at the magic buffers, not at the magic buffers, but they were at the line on the tracks that leads to the magic buffers with Mr. Conductor and Junior prior to Thomas and Lady's arrival. Whereas in the final version, they are nowhere to be seen. Why? Why were Percy and James absent in that scene? They should have been there. Like, seriously. Excuse me. But yeah, why? Answer me that, you guys. Just why were Percy and James not in the scene prior to Thomas and Lady's arrival? And yes, I do agree with you. They should have. But another thing, why did we not see James leave? I mean, after Junior got down from James's cab roof, he's like, "Bye, James," and then James is like, "Bye, Junior." We hear James puffing, but we don't see him leave. And also, if we could see Junior, and this is in GWR Studios Magic Railroad Goof video. I've seen this video many times. He does actually point out that if we can see Junior, allow me to quote him. If we can see Junior's shadow, shouldn't we be able to see James's shadow as well? I mean, think about it. James is a medium-sized locomotive. So with something of that size, we should be able to see his shadow, or at least his shadow moving along the screen. That would actually add to the fact that James was there. Yeah, I already know about Peachy Boomer. Yes, I do know. I am aware that Peachy Boomer was to be the main villain, but I don't want to get off topic. But moving away from Magic Railroad. I'm sorry to get off topic. I just had to go on, that whole ranting thing. So, yeah. On to, and of course, James appeared in the CGI series, seasons 13 to 16. But to be honest, why would they mess up my favorite character most of all? I mean, seriously, James is my all-time favorite character, and they made him a complete idiot. Um, excuse me. Um, so, yeah. And also, another thing. James, when Tale of the Brave first came, not Tale of the Brave, King of the Railway came out in 2013, James was one of the main characters. He had the starring role alongside but he kept saying he's James. Yes, I understand that, but still, why we already know who he's James. We already know he is. So I see no reason as to why he would keep saying that. To be honest, seasons 13 to 16, it's better just to be left in the past. So anyways, um yeah, when the movie Tale of the Brave came out the following year in 2014, James was an antagonist. So he was kind of being a douchebag not a douchebag, but he was kind of being an asshole to Percy. Like, just, I feel like he was antagonizing Percy and being mean to him. Now, that, I understand James can be vain and cocky and stuck up, but I just feel like they took that too far. I feel like they took that too far, you know? Um, so, yeah. Onto the model itself. So James was introduced in 2000, was one of the Bachmann's very first models. Actually, one of the three very first models was one of Bachmann's first models in 2002, along with Thomas and Percy, as well as Annie, Clarabelle, the Troublesome Trucks, Birdie, Cranky, and yeah. But when Bachmann first made James, they just got him completely wrong. I mean, they got the shape right. The third model, yes, thank you. He was the third model that Bachmann made when the range first started, but again, they got James wrong for starters. I mean, I'll get to that in a minute, but they got the shape correct. They got the shape of his TV series model correct. But in terms of detailing, that's a different story. Now, if you take a look at the smoke box, I'm not going to zoom. Actually, yeah, hold on. For a sec. If you look carefully at my model, this is not a standard Bachmann model. My Now, when James was made, his wheels are fine. Well, yeah, I know that, but this is a repaint done by my friend Twiggy BNSF. So Twiggy, if you're watching, thank you for repainting James. But anyway, back to what I was saying. When James was first made, the strip of his smokebox sides were left red, and I obviously know his wheels were painted gray. I know that, and the stripe on the back of his tender was black. So they literally just goofed up the coloring spots. I know I've already mentioned the gray wheels, but his wheels were also gray. A gray coupling hook, a gray dummy hook, and they got the face. It very vague. They got the face kind of wrong. It very vaguely looks like the face seen in that was seen in the television series. On the plus side, James did come with a lamp, which is cool. I think they got that from that idea from Magic Railroad. And if you take a look at his boiler, the striping. I know this model's kind of old, but another thing with the model is his stripes can scratch off easily. I don't know if any of you own a James model, the original 2002 model, then you'll know what I mean. Another thing about James, uncouple his tender for a minute. Actually, speaking of the tender, his tender axle boxes were gray as well. This was also repainted. But going back to James himself, you can tell that James, although he was one of their very first tender engines, he does not have an open cab at all, and it just hides the motor. All other Bachmann models have an open cab, while all other tender engines in the range have an open cab. Are you sure it wasn't a 2005 set? Are you sure it wasn't the set from 2005? Because I remember the James the Red Engine freight set got released in, I think, 2005. So that's how I remember. Are you sure it's not that? Because I'm pretty sure it's from 2005 and not 2007. I'm pretty sure. He had two? What do you mean by that he had two sets? Like, what did you mean by he had two sets? The freight set I understand, but there was a second one? Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It's this, it's this James and the Troublesome Truck set, I think. It came with, like, Sir Topham Hatt and Birdie. Is that the set that you were thinking of? The second set? Because I don't remember James having two sets. I don't remember that at all. And also... Oh, okay, I see. Yes, okay. Um... But thankfully, and we've also asked Bachmann to update James, like, for many years now. So they finally updated James after, like, what? 18, not 18. After, like, what? Like, more than 12 years? 13? I don't know. I don't really remember. I don't have no memory of, like, I have no idea. But, when we saw the picture for the updated James, we thought, you know, finally he gets an update. But when we saw it, we can see that the only things that they managed to fix. He came with a brake van in 2005. Um, I yeah, exactly, the freight set, the James the Red Engine freight set. That's what you're thinking of. But anyways, when we saw the redesigned James, well, let me go into more history about that. When Bachmann said they were going to redesign James, I thought they would fix all the issues, especially with the cab and face, as well as the miscoloring of certain things. But when I saw a picture of the redesigned James, it looked very cool. Like his paint scheme got updated, got like a little bit brighter. But unfortunately, when I actually and I hoped that was a prototype. But when we actually saw the redesigned James, none of the issues were fixed. Well, except for the wheels and except for the color of the wheels and the dummy coupling hook. I thought it was cool too. Okay, now you're just... Oh, hi, cool kid 223. What's up? How are you? Anyways, back to what I was saying. Um, they did fix the gray coupling hook. You're bored AF? How are you bored? You know what? Forget I said that. Forget it. But going back to what I said, they fixed the color of the coupling, not coupling hook, the gray dummy hook. They fixed that, and they colored the tender wheel axle boxes. Hold on. They fixed the back part too, as well as the tender. They fixed that little stripe on the tender, that black strip on the tender. That was finally changed to red, like it's supposed to be. But the cab is still a non-existent black block. They never gave him an open cab, much less updated the face. Now that, to me, is just being lazy. Either do a proper redesign of James, or don't redesign him at all. That's what I would do if I worked at Bachmann. So, yeah. And also, you got him 4 branch line coaches? The red ones? Or did you use the Annie and... You got him the red branch line coaches? You got 4 of them? That's cool. I have 4 of them too. In fact, let me show you. What Bachmann should have made a chain and cup wings. Yes, I do. I really think they should have done that. Another thing. Put traction tires on their models, so that way they can help with pulling power. Just put traction tires on the models too. Hornby did that. So do the same thing. Bachmann, why can't they do the same thing? In fact, since you said that there was you gave him 4 branch line coaches, let me see if let me go get those coaches that. Oh my gosh. Okay. And real guardrails, yes. Honestly, yes. Some separately fitted handrails would be nice. I mean, if they can do a brake pipe and lamp, why not do? If they can do brake pipes and lamps as separately fitted, then they can do the same thing for guardrails. I mean handrails. Sorry, handrails. Now, now sit tight. I'm gonna go. Since you mentioned the branch line coaches, let me go get them. But I have to put the camera down. I'm sorry, but his whistle is little and working lamps. You mean DC? Cool Kid 223. You mean DCC, like an operating headlamp? Wait, even better idea. Sound fitted James the Red Engine with analog sound. Now that would be amazing. A James the Red Engine with analog sound and puffing sound effects. If they can do that, since they did it with Thomas, why not do it with Percy and James at least? At least do it to 2 of the most popular characters. Make them have sound fitted versions of them. If they can do it with Thomas, they can do it with James and Percy. So let me go get the red branch line coaches. Alan, yes, they should. Totally, yes. Yes, they should. Shit. Fuck. Alright, so sit tight. I'll be right back while I get those coaches. Alright, I got the coaches, so let me just line them up. So, here's the brake coach. You can use wooden or Trackmaster faces for the Bachmann engines. Yeah, you can. I've seen some users do that. So anyway, here's the brake coach. Composite coach. Another composite coach. And the 4th and final composite coach. Ta-da! You don't have any Bachmann? Oh, that's a shame. Why don't you have any? You don't have any? Oh man, that sucks. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Now, if Bachmann were to make another James set, here's what I would suggest making. A James the Red Engine passenger set. It would come with James and 2 of the red branch line coaches. I'm not near a hobby store or have any money. Oh, I see. He runs really good on my layout with the coaches. That's cool. Now, you said you had 4 of the branch line coaches, right? Well, so do I. I wanted to be accurate to the CGI series. Now, I know normally there's not a train of 4 of these. There's normally a train of like 2 or 3. But, I decided to be accurate. Just why not? No hook and loop couplers. They do have hook and loop couplers. Wait, no hook and loop couplers? What do you mean by that? But anyways, going back to what I said, if Bachmann were to make another James set, they should really do this one. The James's passenger set. They really should do it. It would obviously come with James and the red branch line composite coach and red branch line brake coach. Chain and couplings. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Okay. Alright, so this live stream's gone on for 30 minutes. Like the TV show. Definitely. There are some Thomas modelers that have made like some small chain couplers. They don't use... I know they don't use these kind of chains, but they use like small necklace chains. Like small necklace chains. I know they've done that. So yeah. Or better yet, what they should call it James's passenger set. Yes, that's exactly the name I was suggesting. But Alan, one question: would it be a circle of track or an oval of track? Personally, I would do oval. I would do an oval because James's wheels are not oval. I would do a circle, even though because James is a medium-sized engine and he can go around curves easily. And plus, his wheels are not that big. So, yeah. Oh, man. Okay, hold on. So, yeah, another reason why James is my favorite character, it's not because of his background. Well, it's not just that. I like the sound, I like the shape of, him, I just find his shape very unique. And cool. Excuse me. And another thing, as I mentioned, I like his theme song. Well, as some of you mentioned before, James also has a cool theme. He is my favorite character too. Is he like your number one all-time favorite character, or just one of your favorite characters? Because for me, James is one of my favorite characters. The other favorites I have are Henry, Edward, Skarloey, Rheneas, Duke, Molly, not Molly, sorry. Duck, Donald, Douglas, Oliver. Hell, basically all the characters are my favorite, except for Diesel and the logging locos. They are annoying as shit. The logging locos are annoying as shit. So, yeah. I just hope Bachmann does make a James the Red Engine passenger set. I really hope that they do. My all-time favorite character on Thomas and Rest. Okay, I can see that. And also, let me compare James to another engine or model. Sit tight while I go and get that other model. Bachmann should have made a CGI for the Bachmann engine? What? Wait, what do you mean? I don't understand what you said when you said that. I didn't understand what you said. Alright, now let me compare James to Rosie. Yeah, you all thought I was going to get Emily out. I mean, just to show that Bachmann has improved since they first started. You can see, like, the big gap, you know? James has a black hook. Rosie has a... James has a gray hook. I'm sorry. A gray hook. I'm sorry for the shadow of my... Sorry for the shadow. Whereas Rosie has a black dummy hook. She's got an open cab. Hang on. Rosie has an open cab. Whereas James's cab is not even existent. Is non-existent. So, yeah, I hope you guys... So, yeah, that's my... So, yeah, that's all I could say about for James, looks-wise. I'd have to say, Rosie looks great on my layout. That's cool. What kind of layout do you have? How big is your layout, by the way? Cause if you take a look at my layout, a big layout. Oh, that's cool. My layout is kind of big. It's actually a train table that's not even wired correctly because, my good friend, as I mentioned earlier, Twiggy BNSF, a really good friend of mine, he gave me this train table back in March of 2014. His friend didn't want it anymore, so he asked if I wanted it, and I said yes. So, yeah, let me take Rosie out of the shot. So, yeah, back to James. That's all I could say about James. Oh, and another thing about the redesign. They should have done a separately fitted whistle, because that thing right there looks nothing like his whistle. I mean, I give them props for trying. I give them credit for trying, but I can see why they didn't want to put a separately fitted whistle that sticks out. Because if something like that was like on the model, then it would break off and then it would be a choking hazard. It would kind of be a choking hazard. So I can see why they didn't put a separately fitted whistle on James, even though they should have. So, yeah. And anyways, that's all. And also, I hope you guys are enjoying your summer vacation. And I hope you guys had a good 4th of July as well. Mine was pretty fun. And, it looks good. Oh, thanks. Thank you for that. Um, and also, since Gordon's Express coaches are getting re-released, I figured I might as well just bring them out now. I know I don't have them yet, but I do have another version of them. Sorry about that. Let me go get them. I'll put these... Just look at these coaches for a little bit. Oh no, it's a wreck. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be right back. They come out this July. What comes out in July? You mean like a new Bachmann model? Or what? Like, what comes out in July? Here, stare at those branch line coaches. Stare at the red branch line coaches while I go get the other coaches. Alright, so now that I've got those, alright, so now that I've got them, I know Bachmann is going to re-release Gordon's Express coaches. I know they're going to re-release them, but I just thought I'd show you guys one pair of Express coaches that I wish they would have re-released, or they should have re-released at all. And if you guys can't already tell, these are the coaches that Bachmann should have re-released along with Gordon's coaches. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I have them. I got these I think in I got these like a few years ago at a flea market. These were in perfect condition, and these were only, get this, $10. The seller is actually a good friend of mine. The seller who had those coaches, he's actually a good friend of mine. And when I saw these, I was like, "Oh, no way. It's the Red Express coaches." I have the Red Express coaches too. That's cool. Do you just have the composite and brake coach, or do you have 3 of the composites or 2 of the composites and only 1 of the brake coach? That's cool. And I really wish Bachmann would do this. Let me get James. Nice. Now this is the set James set that Bachmann should make. It's the James's Express set. Because James looks great with the Red Express coaches. They really should do a set with James and the Red Express coaches, if Bachmann were to bring them back. Yeah, it is a great idea. Yeah, it is. So, that's all I just wanted to show you, because I did mention Bachmann, as I said before, Bachmann is re-releasing Gordon's Express coaches. So, I thought it would be a perfect time to bring these out, you know? It would be just a good idea to have the Red Express coaches back in the range. You know? So let me put these away, and I'll get back to you guys. I'm just trying to keep you guys entertained throughout this review. Oh, and speaking of discontinued items, I actually have like speaking of discontinued items, I have the original Salt Wagon. Yes, he does. I just did a display of that. Yes, he does look cool with those Red Express coaches. So speaking of which, so here's the original Salt Wagon that I have. The 6-ton wagon. And 2 of the tar tankers. Now, here's a set that while on the idea of sets, let me just put one of these tar tankers off to the side. Bachmann should make another James the Red Engine Freight set. You know what? No. Let me put the cars right here and just bring James out real quick. Hey, and I'm trying to respond to your comments. Hold on. I have every rolling stock in the Thomas range. That's cool. Are you planning on getting new ones too? So, if Bachmann were to do another James set besides the passenger set or express set, they should bring back the James the Red Engine Freight set and at least expand it by adding a few more cars. Here's my idea. Like, you can keep the blue open wagon and the fuel tanker, but also add the tar tanker, 6-ton wagon, and salt wagon, and the brake van. That's my idea of a freight train. You can't just have 3 pieces of cars and call that a freight train. That's just being lazy. So, yeah. Alright, so this live stream has been going on for like probably 46 minutes or probably an hour now. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed my second live stream review of my favorite character, James. Yes, it will. So I hope you guys enjoyed my second live stream review of James. I really like doing live stream reviews because, you know, it gives me a chance for you guys to like view my video and then comment on it in real time. And it's also cool that I get to show you, you know, just hear me talk on camera rather than have me film it and then upload it. You guys can comment on videos in real life in real time rather than commenting after it's been uploaded, you know? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my live stream re-review of James. I'm gonna do more of these at some point. That is if I feel like doing more live streams. Yeah. And also, if Bachmann can, while on the subject of redesign, yeah, my live streams are awesome. I should do more, but only if I feel like doing them. Now, I might do a live stream Q&A. I might do a question and answers live stream. Rather than just, you know, announce it and then just I upload the video about me answering your questions. For my next Q&A, it's going to be a live stream Q&A. So, time to change things up for like a Q&A, you know? Like I'm going to do like a live stream where you ask questions and I answer them during the live stream. But I do have one rule, however, and this is it. I do have one rule. Do not ask me any personal questions. When is that? I really haven't set a date yet for when I'm going to do the live stream Q&A. I'll probably do it sometime, maybe over winter break. Like, maybe over winter break after the first semester, after, you know, after the fall semester of college. Cause during the fall semester, I'm gonna be busy, and you guys are not gonna be seeing a lot of videos from me during my college semester because I'll be busy, obviously with school as well as a personal life as well. So yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna do the Q&A or have a set date for it. I will make an announcement video about my Q&A live stream, but as for the actual Q&A live stream, I don't know. Again, I'm probably aiming either Thanksgiving over Thanksgiving break or winter or Christmas break. Not Christmas break, winter break. One of those two. So I'll make an announcement about it, but it'll not be a live streamed announcement. I might make an announcement video about it, actually. Your Q&A videos are awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that comment. Thank you. But anyways, I'm sorry. Let me just get up for a minute. I had to stretch my legs. I'm sorry. So for my next Q&A, I might have my four favorite uncles join me, or at least one of them. Or maybe I might just have a few of my I might just have a few people join me for this one. It could either be one of my four favorite uncles. It could either or it could be either one of my four favorite uncles. That is, if they're interested in doing it. My uncle Jayesh Patel. He might join me for that. I just have to ask him. Tom and Friends variety. I know you guys like having him. I know you guys like him being in my videos. Or Twiggy BNSF. That is, if he's interested in doing it. Or any of my family members, like my cousin Suraj or my cousin Shivani. Yes, that is a good idea. Yeah, it is, but again, I still have to think about it. So I just don't want to like do it right away without thinking it through, you know? I have to ask if they're interested in participating in a live stream question and answers video. I have to ask them first. Although my uncle Jayesh Patel, I think he might be a good candidate to guest star in the Q&A live stream. So yeah. So again, I hope you guys. I'm sorry to get off topic. I'm sorry, but one more thing. Just a recap for this. I am aiming to have the Q&A live stream out either. I'm thinking about having it out either over Thanksgiving break or Christmas break. I'm not sure yet. I still have to think about it and ask some people around if they would be interested. You know what? How would you guys like to? How better yet? How would you guys like to have Twiggy BNSF be in my videos? Hope James is good in Big World, Big Adventures. Yeah, I hope so too. I just hope he won't be an antagonist like he was in Tale of the Brave. I just hope he's not. I just hope he doesn't just be an antagonist. Because James is my favorite character. And when he's why write one of the most famous characters be an antagonist just for the sake of the plot? Why not just have a plot where James is rude to Edward again, like he was in Old Iron? Or at least do a throwback episode, or at least do a throwback or callback to Old Iron. His the best? I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, I hate to be rude, but your English is kind of incorrect. I'm sorry if I'm being rude. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry for saying that. I hope you can forgive me for saying that. Yeah, and also, he's the best. Ah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. He's the best. If you mean James or Edward, I'd say both are the best. Um, so yeah, so yeah, I still have to think about the live stream Q&A and who to do it, and who to ask it with, and who to ask, like who would want to take part in it. And yeah, so keep an eye out either Thanksgiving break or Christmas break. It'll be out on one of those two. They should have a callback episode. Better here's a better idea. How about a CGI how about a flashback of Old Iron recreated in CGI? Like where James is running away and then Edward has to chase him down and stop him. They should recreate that in CGI. Like they did with other stories. Like they did with the Percy and Harold flashback. Or the yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. Yes, they should do a recreated. They should recreate the episode, not recreate, but at least recreate a scene, one of the most famous scenes from Old Iron, in CGI. But do not put any dialogue in it. Or don't put a twist on it either. So anyways, that's all I wanted to show you. That's all I wanted to, tell you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed my second live stream re-review of my favorite character. Um, so if you guys like this live stream, comment down below. Oh, and also, I might have my uncle Chetan Notoria join me. Great review. Thank you. I've been wanting to take a second look at James for a while. And again, it's not just because he's my favorite character. Also, I might have my uncle Chetan Notoria take part in my question and answers live stream. I have to ask him, or my uncle Ashish Patel. I'll have to ask. I'll have to ask my uncles anyway. And if they say yes or agree to it, then it's all set. But there is one thing though. I am not going to do a face reveal. I don't feel comfortable revealing my face to you guys at all, because I don't want any predators, any internet predators to like say, hey, or at least people recognize me, like say, hey, aren't you that guy on YouTube that does Thomas reviews? There have been a few times where I've seen other Thomas YouTubers reveal their faces, and like Vinny Smith, not Vinny Smith, like Vinny, who is also known as Mr. Conductor Fan 1406, and Eric Pierre 53, Matt otherwise known as Enterprising Engines 93. Don't let no one see your face. Yes, thank you. I want to keep my identity anonymous. I don't want like people recognizing me. Although I may do a face reveal in the future if I'm up for it and if I feel comfortable enough to do it. That will be bad. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is going to be bad. So it's best if I just don't do a face reveal. If somebody were to film me like doing something like dancing, then that would be a different story. At least I hope. Flick Lover 2000. Hi. How are you? Welcome to the live stream. You actually joined just as I was going to wrap up. But I suppose I can keep going for a little while longer. Excuse me. I accidentally burped. Excuse me. But yeah. And also another thing, I'm also going to, I know you guys clicked on this review to hear me talk about James. I'm good. I'm good. You? I'm alright. I'm alright. Just enjoying my summer vacation. And I know you guys clicked on this video to see me do a review of James. Not see me, but at least have me do a review of James or a re-review. And I'm sorry if I got off topic. It's just that I had a lot of stuff to talk about. They should have more James flashbacks. Yes, they should. Like the one flashback where James caused a hole in the brake pipe of one of his coaches. Now that I would like to see. Like where James bumps the coaches so hard he makes a hole in the brake pipe, or at least the brake pipe becomes disconnected or something, and they have to fix it with a newspaper and leather bootlace. That would be a flashback I would love to see recreated in CGI. That I would love to see. Or James's trouble with the freight cars. That would also be something else I'd like to see. Have you ever thought of doing a Thomas/Clifford the Big Red Dog? Hold on. I didn't read that. Thomas and Clifford the Big Red Dog parody? No, I haven't actually. I haven't thought of doing that. I have done a Thomas/Arthur parody, but I only assign Thomas characters that fit the role of Arthur characters. Like Arthur the LMS tank engine fits the role of Arthur Reed. But in this case, I'll just have to use Thomas. And then for the role of Buster Baxter, Percy. And now for the role of Francine, either James or Emily would have to fit the role of Francine. But as for Arthur's sister DW, an obvious choice would be Rosie. And then Gordon as Binky. They should have showed the scene where James struggles with the trucks. Yeah, they should have, yes. Would James be a great Clifford the Big Red Dog? Actually, yeah, I kind of see that happening, yes. Because, James and Clifford are both red. So I think James would make a good Clifford. And his tender can represent a dog's tail. Since tenders are always attached to the main engine, just like how tails are. Gordon should be Mac. Sure, I guess. But one problem, I don't have a Bachmann Gordon. Or Edward. Edward as... Hold on. Edward as Mac? I don't think Edward would make a good Mac because they're two totally different characters. Edward is the sensible, kind, and wise engine, whereas Mac... Oh, actually, Mac, yeah. No, not Mac. Probably Thomas. Or maybe Bill or Ben. But I do know who would make a great T-Bone. Percy. Percy would make a great T-Bone. And as for the role of Cleo, either Rosie or Emily. I haven't decided. That is if I wanted to do a Clifford Thomas parody. But for the role of Cleo, I would have to... Probably Emily or Rosie. You know what? Rosie would be the most logical choice. They should stop making James sing, "Here's James." Honestly, they haven't made James do that for a while. I think that's a reference to, "Here is Johnny." I think that's just a reference to it. Emily should be Emily Elizabeth. Yeah, I guess, yeah. So anyways, enough. I'm getting way off topic. Time to get back to this. So thank you guys for watching my re-review live stream of James. And yeah, hope to do more live stream reviews in the future. So, before I end this, if you guys want to say anything now, go ahead before I finish. Molly should be Jenna. You mean Jenna? Yeah, I think so. So, anyways, I'm going to end the live stream in like probably 5 minutes. So, whatever you guys want to say now, go ahead. So, yeah. And tell me, what other model should Bachmann redesign? In my opinion, they should redesign Thomas and Percy. In my opinion, they should redesign Thomas and Percy. I mean, if you can redesign one of your very first tender engines, redesign two of your very first tank engines. Just do that at least. If Duck should be the 8th member, would you like that? Actually, yes, I would enjoy that a lot because Duck is the engine number 8. So it makes sense to have him, correspond to that, It would make sense. Oh, and speaking of Magic Railroad, there was a scene where Junior and where George, I know this doesn't look like George, but it very vaguely does. There's a scene where George helps Junior and James defeat Splatter and Dodge by trapping them in a siding by a boulder, and then this was in the original version. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and speaking of George, if Bachmann were to make George, let me uncouple Rosie first. Let me move James back. And if Bachmann were to make George, George should have been in the movie. Yes, I already am aware of that. Yes. But, um, according to Britt Allcroft, Edward was in earlier drafts of the movie. So why was he removed in later drafts? Just because his model wasn't finished doesn't mean to take him out. If it was the tender that was not finished, then they could have kept Edward in. Just not show his tender being unfinished. Oh, and another thing. I wish there would be an episode where George the Steamroller would return and he would see Rosie. Rosie would not George. The spiteful brake van would return, and then Rosie has to pull a train, and the spiteful brake van causes trouble for her. Or better yet, have an episode with who would make a great Charlie or Vaz. Probably Toby or Stepney. Probably Toby or Stepney. So anyways, enough talk about that. This video was about James. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my live stream re-review of James. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm gonna be doing more live. Would be great to add him back to the series. That would be great, but one thing, he got crushed by Douglas, so I don't see the spiteful brake van returning at all. I mean, for one thing, he was crushed. I don't think characters that have died met their demise like that would return. Although if you do count Diesel 10 falling off the bridge into a barge of sludge, that's different. But, yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and, give this live stream a thumbs up, and I will see you guys for next time, I might do another live stream review. Diesel 10 was okay. Yeah, he was okay. But going back to Magic Railroad, another thing about Magic Railroad is if Edward was in Magic Railroad, how would he have stood up to would he have stood up to Diesel 10 and just held his ground? Think about it. How would the interaction between Diesel 10 and Edward go in the Magic Railroad movie? If Edward was in the movie, he was in the original version, like earlier drafts, but how would the chemistry, not chemistry, but he would be strong. Yeah, Edward would be strong, and he would also hold his ground. But here's another thing. What if Edward was the one in the smelters being cornered by Diesel 10 instead of James? Like, with Junior on top of Edward's cab roof and Diesel 10 right in front of him, and, Edward moving back towards the melting pit, you think having Edward in that scene would have been better? Just think about it. How would that scene play out if Edward replaced James in that scene? Think about it. Alright, so, yeah. Actually, yes, that would be great. Having Edward be in the Now or Never scene, here's what I would imagine Edward doing. When Diesel 10 tries to push Edward into a melting pit with Junior on top of Edward's cab roof, Diesel 10 would, buffer up to Edward and then, try and push him, but Edward would have his brakes hard on. That's how I think the scene would play out. Edward would not be scared at all, much less intimidated by Diesel 10. Not even Pinchy would scare Edward. So, anyways, enough talk about that. This live stream has gone on for 70 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. So I'm gonna end it right now. Hope you guys enjoyed and give this a thumbs up. And also, this is James, the Red Engine Fan, 1994, signing out.